Hello. Okay, so today we're going to be talking about the two job descriptions that were given and analyze those to see what was good, what was bad, what can be improved, etc. So, the first one that we have is the government analyst one. In this job description, it did give you an annual salary range of 36,468 to 50,000. Based on salary ranges, I know those can be dependable on experience, and typically when salary ranges are like that, usually in quotation marks or somewhere within the job description, it does tell you or state or is supposed to that your salary is based on experience or qualifications and education pertaining to the position that you're applying to. Um, it does, give you a pay grade, pay band, uh, item number to go by, which is typically what the finance and human resources go by, stating that, based on the qualifications, this is what this position pays for. It does give you the specific about where you would be working in, which is the Office of the Attorney General. Some issues on it is, again, the salary perspective of it being vague within the job duties and education and skills. Typically, things like this, you should have the details of the work involved, more so than just it being clerical work. Does this mean faxing? Does this mean sitting at a desk all day? Does this mean that you're supposed to be running errands or have to go to and from offices or other buildings? More descriptive details in what the work consists of is something that this government analyst one position doesn't go in depth. At times they may tell you at the interview, but sometimes people need to know openly, because if they don't have means for transportation, or if they don't have a vehicle of their own, or whatever the case may be, in personal reasons, it also helps for human resources to know that the people who are applying have all the qualifications and skills expected of them for this position, and that there shouldn't be anything holding them back in regards to fulfilling this. When it comes to degrees and qualifications on this, typically when I review job descriptions and what's expected of me, there's more of directives and expectancy of the degrees and qualifications. And here it tells you a bachelor's degree, but is this supposed to be a bachelor's degree accredited from any university? Does it have to be accredited? Is it not accredited? Is this something that has to be a specialized degree in public administration, business administration? Is there human resource management? It needs a little bit more definitive of it. Like when you're applying for most government jobs, it tells you they expect a degree in this field or something close related. In this, it doesn't. Same thing with the master's degree. In most cases, it did state on here that you can substitute for 1 year required with experience. But again, it doesn't state what type of degree you need. I know in a lot of the government associations that I have applied to, it says it has to be an accredited degree from a certain, state, university, whatever the case may be. And it usually gives you a detailed expectancy of what type of degree or closely related field that this job is looking for. The other position that we had on here was the senior management analyst 2 position. And this was a pretty thorough job description and what they expected. Again, with the salary on this one, there's not much of a range. So is this always going to be a base salary? Is this something that you can earn higher potentially down the road with advancement? Or is this something that is just straight salary cap, no room for improvement, no room for advancement? It does kind of seem like there is that, like, with this position, its qualifications are as soon as you hit the ground running with this type of position. So that way you don't really need much skills or training on this. This is something that you already bring to the table and are able to just fulfill and just keep the flow and work going when you're learning how to, you know, use the system basically, but all the skills and expectancy out of the position you already qualify and have. Um, on the qualifications, again, in the preferred qualifications, the experience, the certificates, that's great. Outline detail and what is expected of this position and at this job. The degrees of expectancy or study, again, this isn't mentioned in this um, job description. So is this something that you need a specific study in, or is this any sort of degree that you can have and you can be considered for the job? For the equal opportunity, it is stated in both of the job descriptions. On the second one, it does have the background expectation. Most jobs I know, again, always leave those credits at the end that, hey, you know, if this job requires a background check, it will be done. And, you know, if you have anything that's objective to it, it's best to let them know ahead of time, or, you know, at the time of the interview before the background. When I was actually applying for the City of Miami Beach job, my background investigator and one of the potential bosses I had stated that it's better to let them know ahead of time than for them to ask you about it. Because if they have to find it and ask you, it kind of makes you seem like, why are you leaving this out? So backgrounds is something that I think is good. I also think that it is something that should be on job descriptions, especially when you're working in a government association, to let you know, hey, anything that you might have, be in mind that this will come up. So let us know ahead of time before you do this job. And the second part of this is an interview question. At one of my employers, he was very persistent about a cell phone company and the type of cell phone you had. So the interview question I had was, who's your carrier? And do you have a cell phone? And I was like, yes, I have a cell phone. And I have AT&T. What kind of phone is it? I was like, it's an Apple iPhone. And he's like, oh, perfect, because we're looking for people with iPhones, because when I text you, I want to make sure that everything's getting delivered and going to your phone. And, you know, with iPhones, he's like, I'm able to see if it was delivered to you or not. And he's like, is yours on the receipt read, or, you know, letting me know that you read it? And I said, no. He asked if that's something I would change on my settings, and I said, you know, at this time, I'm not willing to accommodate that. I mean, I always respond in a respectable time and manner, especially when it comes to being professional, which he was understanding. But there were some people and applicants turned away when he was doing his interview process because they had an Android or something else, and he wanted an iPhone specifically to know that his messages are getting delivered to you and that you're communicating back to him, meaning he can see that you got the message. To me, that wasn't the most professional way to handle the situation. As I've learned in other courses, especially leadership studies and skills, what's important is, as a manager, your communication and effective communication to your employees. Therefore, whether they have a different cell phone company or actual cell phone like an Android or Apple or whatever kind of phone they have, it's your job as a manager to make sure that the communication is being effective throughout the staff. That means speaking to them person to person, email, having them sign, you know, paperwork, to know that you two are on the same level and understanding. So that was a different interview question that I was never asked at any other employer. And it's always stood out to me because I didn't understand what the significance in it is. When you're doing effective communication, it's up to you as the manager to make sure that those communication transactions are handled appropriately and effectively. That way, you know, as a manager, you're being efficient on your job and making sure that your staff and the company is performing at its best. And that's all. Bye, guys.